We've discussed over several of our recent programs the epidemic of depression and suicide amongst our teenagers. It feels like it's out of control. So many of our youth are suffering from loneliness, stress, and suicidal thoughts, and our guest today is no different. Since she was 14 years old, her depression had become so great that she would cut herself and imagine herself dead. She also suffered from chronic illness that caused frequent fainting, and she was in constant fear of being helpless before the bullies at school. One night, our guest had an idea that she could change her situation and maybe also help thousands of others who felt the same way. She and her younger brother developed an app that gave a voice to teenagers who have been suffering in silence. Stay tuned. You're about to meet these kids and hear their story. I'm Creflo, and this is Your World.
Changing one life, time after time. Oh Lord, we do it all for you.
Through the trials I see, I'll always believe a new life starts with me. Oh, change your world today. Change is gonna come your way. Change and get an understanding. His grace will transform you.
Our guest today found herself unable to cope with a recent medical diagnosis and bullies at school, which sent this teenager spiraling into depression and thoughts of suicide. Now, though she still suffers with depression, she has found a way to fight back, a way that may also help thousands of others who face the possibility of suicide. Please help me welcome Hannah and her younger brother, Charles, to Your World. Hannah, how you doing? Hey, Charles, how you doing? Charles? Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm excited about this program. Let's set the stage. This is your world. It's an opportunity for you guys to take us into your world. And by doing so, we create a weapon. And we fire this weapon into the atmosphere. And this broadcast is going to go out. Lives are going to be changed because they hear your testimony. And they're going to be changed in all kinds of wonderful ways because of your willingness to come and to share with us what you're going to share with us. And so thank you very much. Hannah, let's start with a couple of questions to kind of set the stage. Tell us about how and what was going on with your depression, what that was all about, and some of the things that can kind of give us an understanding of what you were going through there.
Well, I'm a junior in high school. I'm doing this app. I'm speaking everywhere with my little brother, who's not so little anymore, but...
He really is. He came out here and I'm thinking, is this your little brother? Who?
Yeah. When I was a freshman in high school, I began fainting my second week of high school. It became this frequent thing. I didn't know what was going on. I was bullied, I was harassed, and I was even threatened by boys in my school who found out that I was this girl who fainted.
So you would get bullied for fainting? Nobody, I mean, to me that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to figure out, I know this is a different generation, but it would seem to me that would present some type of concern, at least for the person that's fainting. And you got bullied for fainting and made fun of for fainting?
Yeah, I became that girl in my school. It was to the point where I would just be doing my work or walking down the hall and I'd hear guys talking about, yeah, there's this girl who always faints in my class. I think she's on drugs or something. And I'm like, you don't even know me. Like, you didn't even ask, are you okay? Mm-hmm. Like, I am going through something serious, but what came across their mind was that I was just stoned all the time. And that really frustrated me.
Sure.
Even my teachers and counselors thought I was just stoned all the time and not a medical problem, even though my mom was constantly emailing them. So that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
But because of all the threats I was receiving from guys in my class, it became a world where I just lived in fear.
What were the threats about?
Well, I'm a girl and I faint. So the threats were things like, you better hope I don't find you pass out alone somewhere, or else. And I'm like, oh, great.
What? Mama didn't raise them right or something like that, you know. Go ahead, wow.
It was terrible. But I told my counselors, I told the principal, my teachers, but my counselors and teachers just essentially said that boys will be boys. And I'm like, oh, that's terrifying for me.
Mm-hmm.
Fear was my life back then. And it wasn't really a life to live. You know, I was just waking up, going through day-to-day motions. Okay, get up, go to school, try to stay awake.
Yeah. And at this time, you had no idea medically what was going on with you, right?
No, I bounced from doctor to doctor, ologist to ologist, basically. Went to the neurologist, rheumatologist, cardiologist several times. Each doctor had their own diagnosis of what was going on, and it didn't really match up with what the doctor before had said.
I mean, I think we can all understand, you know, the thoughts that weighed heavily upon your heart. And, you know, what's going on? I don't know what's going on. The fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
Am I going to one day die and not come back? You know, that's rough. That's tough. So does that explain maybe why you got into cutting yourself? What led to that?
Well, I went to school. I just heard people talking at lunch, asking if they wanted to hang out, just walking around the mall together and just going to the movies and doing normal teenage things.
Sure.
But when I got home, I had to sleep. I had to take all the medicine. I had to go to all these different doctors. I didn't really have a normal teenage life. So I tried to escape my reality. Before I was a gymnast, I was used to being this strong girl who could handle almost anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then going from that mindset, that mental toughness, to going to be the sick kid whose brother has to sacrifice his weekends and his after school time to help me walk up the stairs, and to basically be the second child. Like, everything was about me, and my brother really sacrificed a lot for me during that time.
Wow. Charlie?
Yeah.
Okay. When you saw your sister going through all of this, did you really understand what was happening when you saw her going through all this?
Not really. When I saw Hannah going through all this, all I knew was that something was wrong. She wasn't happy. Every day after she came home, she just looked like she was beat by a bat at school and like hit by 40 buses in a row. Yeah, you look rough. I just knew that something was wrong. I didn't know what was wrong. I just felt helpless this entire time because I couldn't catch her when she passed out. I couldn't drive her to the doctor. I couldn't get her medication. I didn't even know what was wrong with her. And basically all I could do was, like Hannah said, sacrifice my time and become the second and forgotten child.
You know, but to be able to do that, I mean, you guys are obviously close. You can see that when you walked out here. It's really a powerful statement for you as a brother to, first of all, to even recognize that there's something going on with your sisters. Most brothers wouldn't. But at the same time, for you to be willing to give of whatever you could give of to help your sister out. She mentions and she talks about her depression and what she went through, and really I don't think anybody in our audience or on television has any problems understanding why emotionally you felt like that, because, you know, I don't know what's going on with me and I'm going to try to find out. Nobody's telling me anything. Did you, Charlie, experience some of the fear and a little anxiety as well as you saw her going through this?
Every time Hannah passed out, there was just this deep fear inside of me. What happens if she doesn't wake up? And every time that she went to school, what happens if she passes out in the bathroom again and hits her head and gets a concussion, or she just doesn't wake up, or something's actually wrong with her brain? Just would completely destroy me because Hannah wouldn't be able to be Hannah anymore. And
Oh, you care.
don't tell anyone.
You know, and I think one of the things that, I mean, you both are making very, very clear is the fact that, of course he cares, you know? When did you find out in the process of all of this exactly what was going on, and what was it that was happening with you? What did they discover?
Well, I was at volleyball practice one night, and I passed out. I woke up, they sat me up, and then I passed right out. We ended up going to the emergency room. Luckily, the nurse, she told me that, hey, it's gonna be fine. And she told me, actually, I think you might have POTS. You might wanna go research that. I'm like,
The nurse suggested that?
yes, the nurse suggested that. I'm like, wow. For those of you who don't know, it's POTS. It stands for postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. And basically that just means my autonomic nervous system doesn't quite communicate with the rest of my body properly. So for example, if I stand up too fast, the blood will drain from my head and from all the top body parts and pool in my legs because my veins don't get the signals to constrict to pump blood back up to my head.
Mm-hmm. Wow. You know what? And once you discovered this and they were able to provide a treatment for it, tell us how relieved you were to at least find out what you were dealing with.
It was bittersweet
Mm-hmm.
because it's just a ton of different symptoms pulled together as one. And they call it a syndrome. They don't have as much research on it as much as they do other diseases or syndromes or conditions or such.
Mm-hmm.
But luckily, there was a POTS specialist in Atlanta that I started to go see. But luckily, they did find a medication to put me on, so I'm really happy about that.
Well, that's good. That's good. Listen, we're going to come right back. We're going to take a little break, and we're going to find out what Charlie did and how they both came together with Hannah to come up with something that would not only help them as a family, but also has the potential of helping thousands of kids and folks who are dealing with similar situations. We'll be right back.
You've seen the show. Now come and be a part of it. Join Dr. Dollar and guests as they explore the issues of life, love, and personal growth.
The show was designed to provide hope so that people could understand the grace of God and His unmerited, undeserved favor to make the difference in your life.
For free tickets to be a part of our studio audience, email yourworld@worldchangers.org or online at yourworldwithcreflo.com.
Welcome back. You know, emotions are feelings on the inside that are caused by pain and pleasure, and they're designed to move you in a certain direction. Tell us about some of the deep emotional, and I don't hesitate when I use this word, trauma that you had to experience before we can see how your emotions moved you into an idea. Let's talk about that.
When I was being bullied really badly at school, it got to the point where I was just absolutely terrified of being alone.
So the terror was mostly from the threats rather than being from if you were to fall out. It was like, if I do fall out, will they carry out the threats they made to me?
Yeah. I mean, I went into engineering and I felt like I was prey being stalked. I mean, I walked into class, I tried to act like nothing was wrong, even though everything was. Their eyes would just follow me, and that one time, I actually did pass out in my engineering class. I was so terrified. But luckily, it was with a full classroom, and the sub was right next to me, so she got everybody out of the class. So that was by far one of the scariest times ever.
Now let's talk about the development of this app. How did you and Charlie get together and come up with this idea, and explain to us how the app helped you guys more and what it has the potential to do where others are concerned?
Throughout the entire timeline of all this, I struggled really badly with bulimia nervosa, and I was also self-harming a lot. And one night, it got so bad, and I think that day I had passed out, and my mom had to come pick me up from school again, and she just looked so disappointed that she had to come get me, and I never wanted to hurt my mom. Like, I think that was the biggest thing. And just seeing the pain in her eyes, and especially the look on my brother's face when he got home and he had to essentially carry me upstairs to my room, I just had this idea. If I'm gone, I'm taking all of their pain with me. I'm taking all of the problems that they're going through with me. So I snuck downstairs and went in my father's medicine cabinet. And that night, my mom, she walked into my room that night and saved my life. And she just held me that night. And as she held me, I wish for nothing more than an app where I could just whip out my phone, tap a button, and instantly alert my friends and even my family members that I'm not okay, so that they know exactly where to come find me.
That's a really powerful revelation, to use technology to get some help. I don't think you guys understand the lives that you're going to be responsible for saving, because you sit there. It was just by the grace of God that your mom came in the room, right?
Oh, it really was.
Yeah, and had it not been God's grace coming in the room, you wouldn't be here talking to me right now.
Yeah.
Well, there are lots of people who don't know what to do. If they could reach out to somebody, I don't know, but to be able to just punch a button and to engage in an app and just let somebody know, I need help right now. Wow. Charlie, how does the app work?
So the notOK app, it's essentially a digital panic button that when you press it, it sends a text message to your pre-selected up to 5 closest contacts. These can be your friends, your family, your therapist, anyone that you trust to help you when you're not okay. And then when you press that button, it sends a text message to them. The text message says, "Hey, I'm not okay. Come call me, text me, or come check up on me," with their current GPS location and directions.
Such a simple idea to be able to use it to help so many people. Now, how did you learn about coding?
Ever since I was like 7, I've been learning how to program and how to make apps and stuff.
Since you were 7?
Yeah.
Man, I don't even know how to get my phone to do nothing. It's 7?
Yeah, I was teaching myself at 7.
Yeah, his nickname is Tech Support, guys.
Yeah.
For good reason.
I didn't really have a life.
He's
I still don't. I agree with that. But so I've been teaching myself on Khan Academy, online stuff like that. I only took like 3 classes, like physical classes. Basically, when Hannah told me about her idea for the app, the first thing that I said was, "Let's go." Because as I mentioned earlier, I've been helpless this entire time. I couldn't do anything for her. And this was sort of the only thing that I could actually do to help her, because intentionally this app was only for her, so that when she passed out, we could find her and we could know that she's not okay.
That does something to me. Because, I mean, you know, whether you guys realize it or not, this is the love of God. Because of the love and concern that you had for your sister. Who would ever thought that this is something that can be available to the whole world? This is something I'm interested in. This is something that, you know, the people that I counsel, I'm thinking like, you need to get this app. This is something that, you know, guys who are hooked on drugs and, you know, they try to call their sponsor because they're in a place and they're getting ready to use. And this app can help them and say, look, I'm at a bar right now. And, you know, I'm going to take a drink. So has the app helped to ease some of the anxiety? And if so, how?
I was tired of being that sick kid. I wanted an option to where I can get a little bit of that freedom back. So that's why we created an app. When I was actually doing the research for the marketing and our target market, I realized this goes so much deeper than I initially thought. And I didn't believe in mental illness, which sounds so stupid for me to say, knowing what I know. And when my brother and I actually launched the app, we started getting requests to do interviews and to speak and to share a story. And the more I shared my story, the more I felt like this burden being lifted off my chest, the more I felt unashamed and unapologetic for what I went through. Because yeah, I went through it, but I went through it. I didn't just
You
stay
better
stuck.
come on now. Yeah. You better come on now. I'm going to tell something up now. Oh my goodness. That is exactly right though. A lot of times people just don't understand that what you may be facing today is only dress rehearsal for what you might be called to for tomorrow. And I can see that just loud and clear. And I also want to believe with you for a total and complete supernatural healing of your physical body. I think now that you've gone through that and you see that there's a greater calling, a greater outreach, that, well, God, go ahead and heal her completely of it. Go ahead and deliver and set her free completely of it. And I mean, and for Charlie to, you know, teach yourself that on an internet, and I am really embarrassed with the fact that I can't. And I just pray that y'all have like 50 million people that will become a part of this, because it's like a sermon that you're preaching that can change the world. And I believe you're world changers because of your concern and love for one another that's produced something that's going to change the world. And I congratulate you. I congratulate you both.
Thank you.
You know. So, you know, Charlie come and say, well, I don't really have a social life. I don't have friends, stuff like that. Well, you will after this broadcast. You're just going to have to figure out what their motives are, you know. And then you might have some little girl watching the broadcast talking about, well, you know, Charlie kind of fine. And congratulations to your mother, your parents. Is she here? Excellent job. I mean, you should be, and I know you are, just so proud of them. And I just met y'all. I'm so proud of y'all knowing what to do. Praise the Lord. Give them a big hand. Don't you appreciate our guest today? Awesome. You know, the roots of depression run so much deeper than many people realize. Too many of our youth succumb to suicidal thoughts before anyone even realizes there's anything wrong. Our guests today did something to deal with this issue head on, and they overcame. Today, I encourage you to get involved by helping our teenagers that God is the answer, letting them know that His grace is sufficient. And listen, that God has healing on every level already set aside for all of us, and He's just waiting for us to accept it. Listen, if there's something going on in your world and you need help, or if you know someone, a family member, a friend, someone who needs help, please call the number on the bottom of this screen. or reach out and connect with us online at yourworldwithcreflo.com. Stay connected with me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and know that I'd love to hear from you. I'll see you next time, right here on Your World.
God has a plan for your life. Believe it. Even at your most vulnerable and scared, even at your most hopeless and helpless, God has your best life designed for you under His covenant of grace. Call now to receive Creflo Dollar's life-changing 3-part CD series, God's Plan for Your Life. Trying to endure a painful situation on your own can leave you hurting inside and in need of healing. But God wants us to know how much He loves us. We can go to Him and trust Him enough to allow Him to heal us spiritually and emotionally. When we let Him guide us, we realize that He only wants good things for us. No matter what darkness you are facing, whatever challenge seems insurmountable, and with every challenge we face, Creflo Dollar wants you to know that there is a solution. And if you call now, you will also receive the full, unedited DVD of today's program, I'm Not Okay, now in its entirety. God has a great future prepared for you, and no matter what you may be going through, He is your way out. Call now and receive the 3-disc CD series, God's Plan for Your Life, and the uncut full interview between Creflo Dollar and Hannah and Charles, both for your tax-deductible donation of only $25 or more. It's time to rise above your challenges and use your gifts, talents, and desires as a way to direct you to your divine destiny. Call or go online right now to receive this life-changing collection for you or someone you care about. There is hope, and it's time to be lifted up out of the darkness. Our operators are standing by. Call right now.
This is Rob and Chrissy. Life has always got them on the go, working, spending time with their families, giving back to the community, and attending church each week. Rob and Chrissy love God, love their church, and love learning. However, they find that the busyness of life often stands in their way from studying God's Word. And when they do have time, the challenge is knowing where to start, what to study, how do they get the most out of the time they have. Introducing Grace Life Academy. Grace Life Academy is an online discipleship and learning website that provides you unlimited access to an entire library of video Bible studies from Creflo Dollar Ministries. All you have to do is pick one of the courses in the library. Begin your study by watching the video lessons. It's easy, it's fast, and great for the entire family.
Because of you, Creflo Dollar Ministries is providing a new understanding of grace and empowering change in the lives of millions of people every day. Thank you, partners and friends. Your love and financial support makes it possible to bring this message into millions of homes all across the globe.